Let's do it. Let's do it, man. We can't run from it. These are the rules, you know? We don't get to just be around during the good times. We don't get to run and hide when bad things happen. When you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan, first of all, bad things happen a lot. But we got to do it, man. We got to do the post-game podcast right here live on YouTube. Thanks for being here. 131 people in here. We just eclipsed 27,000 subscribers. Hit the like button for that, man. Hit the like button for us passing 27,000 subscribers right here on Run It Back Philly. Thank you guys so much for continuing to spread the love. And yeah, listen to us on Apple Music and Spotify and all podcast platforms. All of these shows are brought to you by Game Time Ticket app. Download the Game Time app and use promo code CLNS for $20 off. And the second half of this show, we're going to do the members only / super chat Q&A. So become a member of the channel. It's $5. It helps. It makes you stand out in the chat. You get a nice little Sickos knit badge next to your name. And it helps me continue to be able to do this without the lights turning off in the background. All right. Thank you guys so much. Let's just get into it, man. The Philadelphia 76ers blow a 28-point lead. Was it 28? Somebody said it was 26. What was it? Let me know in the chat. Was it 26, 28, 27? Whatever, dude. They were up by a lot. Okay, a lot. They were up by a lot, and they ended up actually losing the game. And once again, I felt myself in the third quarter start to pump the brakes and say, what's stopping me from believing they can blow this game? You know? Because I do it all the time. And it doesn't matter if they're healthy, not healthy, whatever roster's out there. I'm going to talk about the matchups and what I actually think about the game in general. But when the 76ers are winning a game, even by a lot, in any era, with anybody on the floor, with Brett Brown, Doc Rivers, Nick Nurse, Doug Collins, doesn't matter who the coach is, there's always a chance of them losing the game, no matter what. So there's that. Shout out to Jason Roy for the super chat. I'm going to get to the super chats. Don't you worry. There's always a chance of them losing the game. And they actually lost a game by 8 points after they were up by 28. Did anybody in the chat? 26. Okay, it was 26. They actually lost the game 118 to 110 after leading by 26 points. Now, let me tell you what happened. Okay, here's what happened in a nutshell. The Boston Celtics shoot a lot of threes. The Boston Celtics were not making a lot of threes in the first half, and the 76ers were taking advantage of that and scoring points on the other end. The lineups of Tyrese Maxey, Justin Edwards, Ricky Council, and Kelly Oubre were a lot of fun to watch. They were really hounding the Celtics players. They were giving players fits. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, everybody. They were getting steals. They were running end to end. They were playing high energy, fun basketball, and it was fun to watch for a lot of it. But we can't ignore the fact that the Boston Celtics were just flat out shooting really bad for 3 quarters in this game. All right. And then what happened was they started making shots. And when they started making shots, the 76ers had no answer for it. And Tyrese Maxey was also cooking in the first 3 quarters. 21 points in the first half. The Celtics were really guarding him one-on-one most of the game. He was making them pay for that. He was doing absolutely everything. The ball was moving. We were making the defense work. We were getting good shots. We were making good shots. When the Celtics made that run, they started to hit threes against our zone. The 76ers were playing a zone defense, yes, against a team that shoots 50 threes a game. But the reason we were playing a zone defense is because we can't guard the Boston Celtics man-to-man. There was a lot of people in the chat screaming, why are we in a zone defense against a three-point shooting team? And I said, bro, you really think Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson can guard Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday? That's why they're playing a zone defense, especially that bench lineup. And we went back to man defense in the fourth quarter because they shot the lights out against the zone in the third. And they cooked us there too because guess what? Search out mismatches. This Sixers team right now is maybe the shallowest team in the league as far as depth goes. The 76ers bench in this game. Let me tell you who their bench was in this game. Adem Bona, Kyle Lowry, and Reggie Jackson. That's the Sixers bench in this game. So you got to put it into context. You can't just be like, oh my God, they blew a 26-point lead. It's the same old Sixers. It's the worst thing ever. Oh my God, we suck, whatever. This is still, to me, a moral victory because this is a team that is so undermanned, it's ridiculous. And in the past 5 to 6 games, they are playing high-energy basketball, making it fun, and it's because you got a lot of guys out there with a chip on their shoulder that have something to prove. Justin Edwards, Ricky Council, Kelly Oubre is just a guy that always plays like he has something to prove. And realistically, look at this roster, bro. It's Tyrese Maxey, a EuroLeague buyout, an undrafted player, Kelly Oubre, who was almost out of the NBA 2 years ago before the Sixers gave him a contract in the offseason, Ricky Council, a G League player, Adem Bona, a G League player, and 2 buyouts in Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson. So Sixers fans that are mad about this, you gotta be real here. This is Tyrese Maxey, an undrafted player, a couple of G League players, and a couple of 40-year-old buyouts against the fully healthy championship Boston Celtics. Realistically, it should have been a 50-point blowout in the first half. But Tyrese Maxey was making them pay for playing a man-to-man one-on-one. Guys were stepping up. We were playing tough defense. We were sprinting end-to-end. Gershon Yabusele was playing out of his damn mind. We were taking advantage of the fact that the Celtics were shooting the ball terribly in the first half, and we were up by 26 points. And the Celtics made a major run. When did the Celtics make a major run? The Celtics made a run in the first quarter as soon as Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson came into the game. Okay, and here's what happened. For those of you that don't watch every game start to finish, it's fine. I don't expect you to be watching right now, but let me explain it to you. Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry on the floor together is probably the worst defensive lineup in the entire NBA. It might be the worst defensive lineup in the history of the NBA. It is terrible because they're old. They're too slow to get out to the perimeter. The game against the Nuggets, that Lowry, Reggie Jackson lineup actually survived when they came in the game, and Reggie Jackson hit a couple of shots, and Kyle Lowry played some good, decent, had some steals and took some charges, and I said it during that game. Nick Nurse is now going to think that this lineup is not atrocious. And so against the Boston Celtics, who have 5 shooters on the floor at all times and have youth and size on the floor, in the first quarter, his bench lineup, his first 2 guys off the bench, Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson, on the floor with Tyrese Maxey. 6'3", 6'1", maybe 6 feet. 2 of the 3 guys are fat. Two of the three guys are 38. All on the floor at the same time. What do you think is going to happen? I'm not saying he has much of another option. I mean, he was playing Jeff Doughton Jr. before Kyle Lowry came back from what they called a hip injury. Truthfully, he was getting the battery replaced in his life alert. But he was playing Jeff Doughton Jr., and they were solid. They won 4 games in a row with Jeff Doughton Jr. coming off the bench. As soon as Lowry got healthy, Jeff Doughton's back on the shelf, and here we go again. They made a run in the first quarter from that Reggie Jackson, Kyle Lowry lineup. It is what it is. You can't argue that. Again, there's not a whole lot of other options right now for Nick Nurse. This should have been handled in the offseason. Your only 2 additions outside of Paul George cannot be 2 6-foot-tall, pudgy 40-year-olds. So in the fourth quarter, the same thing happened. The 76ers get all the way up by 26 points. Ricky Council in the third was just playing an amazing game in the third. Ricky Council was part of them extending that lead. He was creating plays. He was getting in the lane. He was dishing the rock like Magic Johnson in his prime for some reason. Ricky Council, how many assists did Ricky Council have? 8 assists for Ricky Council. He had some end-to-end plays where he threw down a monster tomahawk slam. He had a dish to Yabusele going down the lane where Yabusele slammed it with 2 hands and got a technical foul for dunking too hard because it's the NBA and it's lame as hell. Yabusele had back-to-back threes in the third quarter, assisted by Ricky Council. Ricky Council was the engine of the team in that third quarter before Tyrese Maxey came back on the floor. So that's a huge reason they were up as much as they were, because, Maxey's cooking in the first half and you have to give him a break. Who's going to score on this team outside of him? Ricky Council and Yabusele were just doing magic in that third quarter. And Lowry and Reggie Jackson came in the game because you got to go to the bench at some point. The Celtics go on a major run right when Lowry and Jackson came in the game at the end of the third quarter into the fourth quarter. They got it all the way down to an 8-point game. They just started raining threes. I don't understand the strategy. Listen, Jason Tatum's going to cook you one-on-one, but you got to live with that against a team that has 5 shooters on the floor. Instead, we're double teaming Jason Tatum like Derek White won't just bomb one in your face. So we overhelp on Jason Tatum. He passes the ball to Derek White. He bombs threes. You double team Derek White. He's going to pass it to Drew Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis, who can knock down a 3. Jaylen Brown hit back-to-back threes in the corner. Jason Tatum hit back-to-back step-back threes and then a tough step-back jump shot. They started to see the ball go in, and that was just it for the Sixers, man. It was over. A 20-1 run in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. A 4-minute and 30-second section of the fourth quarter. The Boston Celtics went on a 20-1 run, and that was the end of the game. Their clear strategy at the end was force the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands, make these guys beat you, make Ricky Council beat you, make Kelly Oubre beat you, make Justin Edwards Yabusele beat you. And, it worked. They took the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands. I mean, you got to applaud the fact that Tyrese Maxey is getting that level of respect, that he is getting double teamed at half court. He couldn't even bring the ball across half court. They were forcing him to get rid of the ball, and then they were face guarding him off of the ball. Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, all face guarding him off the ball, not even really letting him come around screens. He was fighting around double screen, triple screen to try to even get the ball in his hands. And that took the wind out of the Sixers' sails, and that it worked. They started to make shots. They started to force the ball out of Maxey's hands, and the game was over. But I'm not going to scream and yell at Nick Nurse for this or anybody. The fact that this 76ers team, with Paul George and Joel Embiid sitting on the sideline, nursing a whatever, I don't even know anymore. Joel Embiid's warming up for 2 or 3 games in a row now. He looks perfectly healthy. He still won't play. Paul George hurt his fucking pinky and is just sitting out how many games? These are max contract guys sitting out games with a hurt pinky. You're playing the game with G Leaguers and buyouts and Euro League players. I mean, what's the total amount of contracts on this roster right now? Outside of Tyrese Maxey, Justin Edwards, two-way. Ricky Council, minimum contract last year. Maybe a couple million a year. Gershon Yabusele, minimum contract. Kelly Oubre, $13 million a year. Dembona, two-way. Kyle Lowry, buyout, minimum contract. Reggie Jackson, buyout, minimum contract. That's the team that we just watched battle the Boston Celtics. So all I can take away from this is incredible fight. I love the heart that they're showing the last 6 games. Playing with a chip on their shoulder, playing hard. And it's because you got guys out there that have something to prove. Gershon Yabusele has something to prove. He's already proved it. He's going to get paid this offseason because of it. Justin Edwards has something to prove. Undrafted. He's proven it. Kelly Oubre always plays like he has something to prove. Ricky Council, G League player. Undrafted, proven it. Dembona. Thought he should have played more minutes in this game. Had a monster block on Jason Tatum. Thought he probably should have been in the game in the fourth quarter. Again, Nick Nurse hates to play the guy. Not quite sure why. But I'm not going to get up here and scream and yell about whatever. The fact that the Sixers were ever up by 26 points in this game is more of a, embarrassment on the Boston Celtics than anything. They already beat the Boston Celtics this year. The Boston Celtics are not a juggernaut. They are very beatable. They live and die by the three-point shot. And if we had a healthy team, maybe we'd stand a chance. Paul George, I hope you're watching guys like Ricky Council, Kelly Oubre, and Justin Edwards. Because this is how you're supposed to play when you're being paid $50 million a year. But you're paid in the shade. You come out here, jog around, shoot a couple dribble, step back, jump shots, and go home and record a podcast. And then you get a little sprained pinky and you sit out for a month so you can record more podcasts. I bet Paul George is recording his Luka Doncic trade reaction right now. He doesn't give a damn. And this is all Sixers fans want. Is a team that plays hard. A team that plays like they give a damn. We don't want these overpaid bums who don't care. So I'm over it, bro. Do whatever you can to get rid of that guy. Trade Paul George and Joel Embiid right now if you can. I don't think they can. I don't think anybody will give you anything for those contracts. Trade them. Clear up the cap space. Move forward with Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain next season. And try to build around that. Because Paul George ain't coming back and saving this team. Joel Embiid, I don't even know what to say anymore. Maybe he comes back finally healthy and things look different. I don't know. But shout out to the guys for playing hard. And just leave Pinky P on the bench. Leave him on the bench for all 4 years of the contract, dude. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that's all I have to say, man. They blew a 26-point lead, but I'm not mad about it. It would have been nice. I was saying it in the fourth quarter. I was like, I don't know if they win this game. Doesn't feel good right now. I would love for them to win this game just to be able to talk shit on the Boston Celtics a little bit more. But it doesn't really matter if they win or lose this game. The fight that they showed throughout the game was impressive. I liked it. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the effort they've shown the past 6 games. They won 4. They lost 2 in a row to the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics, and both of those games were hard-fought games. And it's just so much different than what they looked like at the beginning of the season, where they were just showing a lack of effort, a lack of heart, and they were getting run off the floor by the worst teams in the NBA. I can't be too mad about what I'm seeing. It has something to do with, what Nick Nurse said, I guess, in the post game or in the locker room after that Nuggets game. The Nuggets reporter claimed that she could hear Nick Nurse screaming and cursing in the locker room, and they've been playing hard ever since then. The Boston Celtics, here's the real tale of the game. Here's the real tale of the game. The Boston Celtics shot 25% from three in the first half, and we went up by 26 points. They caught fire in the second half, and they shot 63% from three. They shot 25% from three in the first half, and we were taking advantage of them. And I said that. I was like, bro, they're missing wide open shots. We got to take advantage of this. They're not going to stay cold forever. We need to score a lot of points while they're cold. That's exactly what we did. And we went up by 26 points because they couldn't buy a bucket. And when they got hot, man, they got hot. And they shot 64% from three in the second half. The Sixers in the first half shot 53% from three. And in the second half, when the Boston Celtics started forcing the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands and really locking in defensively, we shot 38% from three, which isn't a terrible percentage, but it's not going to match up with 63% from the Boston Celtics in the second half. So there's that. I do want to look at Tyrese Maxey in the first half versus the second. Tyrese Maxey in the first half had 23 points. He was a plus 14. He was 4 for 5 from three and 7 for 14 from the field. And when the Celtics started to lock in on him, to double team him around half court and force the ball out of his hands, he scored 11 points in the second half, was a minus 14, was 1 for 3 from three, and 2 for 7 from the field. Tyrese Maxey, once the Boston Celtics said, we got to take him out of the game, made 2 field goals in the entire second half. And that's not a trash to Maxey. That's more of a credit to the Boston Celtics defense and their strategy to lock in on Tyrese Maxey in the second half and make somebody else beat you. And it absolutely worked. But again, I'm happy about the Sixers' fight and the way that they've been playing recently. And I can't be too mad about it. Shout out to everybody in here, man. 406 people in here. Go ahead, hit the like button for me one time. That would be greatly appreciated. Let's just do a little members or super chats Q&A for the second half of this stream. Person in the chat, RJ, I see you. Play-by-play with JJ, I see you. Any other members listening to the stream, go ahead and drop hot takes or questions or comments in the chat. Gunna, I see you. Or drop a super chat like my man RJ just did. Thank you, RJ, for the super chat. 500 million willingly sitting on the bench with fake injuries. But I'm just here for the vibes, unfortunately. That's what I mean about a game like this, RJ. You said it a while ago, I'm just here for the vibes, and that's how I'm watching these games now. It's a lot easier to watch these games like this now. Why would I expect the 76ers of Tyrese Maxey and a bunch of G-Leaguers to beat the Boston Celtics at full strength? Why would I expect that? Nobody should have expected that. I expected them to get wiped off the floor from the start of the game. The fact that they went up by 26 points, I'm sorry for saying moral victory, but it is a moral victory to me. And we'll see what they do at the trade deadline, if they make some improvements. Clearly, you have to improve on Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson. Those cannot be your two guys off the bench if you want to take advantage of the way that they've been playing recently. And yeah, there's $500 million sitting on the bench. It's borderline embarrassing. It really is. It's really ridiculous that you have that much money sitting on the bench and you have guys that are not getting paid hardly anything giving this much effort out there and battling with teams. David Pingatori, member of the channel, that loved the effort from the Sixers. Yoo-hoo! What's going on, man? Keep Yabu or trade him. Oh, my God. Yabusele had such a game, dude. He had such a game. Oh, man. Two-hand slam and gets a technical foul for hanging on the rim. Hitting threes. Going right down the rim, right at Porzingis, right at Jason Tatum, right at everybody. He just plays with so much fight, man. And that's what we love to see. You know, it would be nice if you could. It would be nice if you could get other NBA players to play with this much fight, but they're paid in the shade and they don't care anymore. And you know. Also, I want to point out that Yabusele had a one-handed poster dunk over Derek White, and then looked at the crowd and beat his chest. I mean, I want the guy to be a 76er for life. I want the guy to be a 76er for life. I don't ever want to trade Gershon Yabusele. That's a blue-collar player. That guy is Philly through and through. I know his parents were born in Nigeria. He was born in France, but he is Philly. That dude has the mentality that city loves. I never want to trade Gershon Yabusele, but because the Sixers paid Pinky P $100 billion, they're not going to be able to afford him. And y'all can talk all you want about Daryl Morey being a great draft GM. He's been great in the draft. He's also been downright terrible when it comes to trades. And now, you know, sitting on the Tobias Harris contract for 5 years was embarrassing. Trolling the fan base with the crumble cookie shit was embarrassing. Pudgy nerds that never played sports being in charge of things is one of the problems. And then he signs Podcast P to a $200 million contract, and now you're not going to be able to pay guys like Yabusele. I'll trade Paul George to keep Yabusele right now. I'll trade Paul George for nothing if I get to keep Yabusele. If the NBA says to me, hey, listen, we will clear Paul George's contract, you just don't get anything in return, and you're able to give all of that money to Yabusele, I would do it. He deserves Paul George's contract. Gershon Yabusele deserves Paul George's contract. You hear me, Paul George? You owe that guy money. No, I never want to trade Gershon Yabusele, but unfortunately they might trade him just because of the business side of it. RJ, stop making contracts guaranteed. That's the NBA's biggest problem. 100%. 100%. That's the NBA's biggest problem. You got to keep the incentive alive. What incentive is there to play 100% every night when you got $200 million signed on a dotted line, bro? If you stub your pinky and you're out for the rest of the season, they got to give you all that money. Of course they don't care. And of course they don't care when it's especially players that have already played the game for 13 years. What motivation does Paul George have to get back on the court with his little sprained pinky? There is none. He's played for 13 years. You gave him another $200 million. He doesn't care. Why would he care? Absolutely, that's the NBA's biggest problem. And then you look at the Luka Doncic situation, and now you're seeing ownership groups start to push back a little bit and start to say, you know what? You're a superstar. You're a top 5 talent in the NBA right now. But we don't feel like you're dedicated to your physical fitness. We don't feel like you're dedicated to your diet and trying to sustain your longevity. And you're constantly out with a calf strain because you're pudgy, bro. Because you're out of shape. You don't drink water. You drink beer. You don't exercise. You hang out in hookah lounges or whatever. We're not giving you a 5-year, $350 million contract, fully guaranteed. Because 2 years from now, you might look like the white Zion Williamson, and we might be absolutely screwed with a contract that we can't move. So you're seeing, that's a ballsy move by the Dallas Mavericks. But that's the tipping point. Everything comes in waves. The NBA is in a bad era right now where players are getting $500 million guaranteed and jogging around. But everything in the universe is a balance. You know, when something tips one way, it's going to tip back. And now you're seeing an organization that said, we're not giving him that contract. Are you guys crazy? So maybe the NBA starts to change. But yeah, I would say Adam Silver needs to start to grow a pair also. And the CBA needs to fix these guaranteed contracts. Because you can't be giving guys $600,000 a game to sit on the bench with a wrapped up pinky. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it hurts the product. And when it hurts the product, what do you see? You start to see the ratings decline. And when the ratings decline, now you got a problem. But if you would have nipped the problem in the bud from the beginning, you wouldn't have the problem. But they didn't see the problem. They thought, oh, we're about to be global. They're about to love the NBA in Australia, in China, everywhere. Meanwhile, the rest of the world's like, we like soccer. What else we got, man? What else we got? Amanda Hudson, I hope you get that kid back on the call who called Lowry Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, we might bring the phone line back soon. I got kind of bored with it, to be honest with you, but we might bring it back soon. Brian Pumper. Shout out to Brian Pumper. Haven't seen you in the chat for a while. You know, Brian Pumper was hating on Joel Embiid the whole season, and then when Joel Embiid came back and the Sixers started winning, Brian completely disappeared. And during that 4-game win streak they just had, he completely disappeared. Now he came back today to throw a little bit of Tyrese Maxey slander in the chat. And here he is. Now that the Sixers blow a 26-point lead, we get our first Brian Pumper super chat in over a month. So he's been lurking in the shadows, just waiting for something bad to happen. And here he is. OKC wants Yabusele, and he's the perfect backup to spell their bigs. Get our pick back. We're not winning shit. Well, Yabusele, Brian Pumper, you can't, the Sixers can't get their pick back from the OKC Thunder. For those that don't know, they can't get that pick protection back because the Oklahoma City Thunder have included the pick in other trades protected. So their only chance of getting that pick back is finishing in the top 6. You can't trade Yabusele to the Oklahoma City Thunder to get your pick back. They possibly owe the pick to other teams if it conveys to them. But I don't want to trade Yabusele anyway. But I mean, you know, we'll see what Daryl Morey does at the trade deadline, man. Like I said, he's going to try to help this team one way or another. You know what I mean? He is going to try to help this team one way or another. Whether we think they can win or don't think they can win, he's going to try to improve the team at the trade deadline. It's, what is it, 2 days away? What's the date today? February 2nd. The trade deadline is on February 6th. It's a couple days away. Let's go over to Twitter and see if we can... Come on, man. Truck outside. Loud as hell. Let's go over to Twitter and see if we can find maybe Nick Nurse post-game press conference and check out some of the takes from some Sixers reporters, and then we'll be out of here. Thank you all for vibing with me. Again, we are, in fact, just here for the vibes. Kings got like 5 picks for Fox and Levine. Get you your 1 pick back, and y'all happy with the fleece. I don't know what that means. De'Aaron Fox was traded to the Kings. From the Kings. Zach LaVine was traded to the Kings. So the Sacramento Kings, you know, we knew they were going to trade De'Aaron Fox because he refused to sign an extension, and they trade him to the Kings for Zach LaVine. I mean, they trade him to the San Antonio Spurs for Zach LaVine. Interesting. You got De'Aaron Fox, Wembanyama, and Chris Paul all together in San Antonio. You got Zach LaVine reunites with DeMar DeRozan. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. People are like, please give your take on the De'Aaron Fox trade. I don't know. I don't care about the Kings. I don't care about the Spurs. I don't care about the Bulls. What did the Bulls even get in that deal? I don't know. I don't care, man. Let me try to find Nick Nurse press conference, man. Nick Nurse. People are tweeting that Nick Nurse is embarrassing. I'm not seeing anything from Nick Nurse on Twitter of his post-game press conference. Wow, people really ripping Nick Nurse for this, huh? Nick Nurse wasted their challenge in the first quarter, so they couldn't change it either. Nurse was just sitting on his hands. Nick Nurse. Why are they ripping Nick Nurse so hard, dude? Why are they ripping Nick Nurse so hard? Are you guys ripping Nick Nurse in the chat? I don't like. What did he do besides play the guys that are? What did he do besides play the guys that are on the roster? Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson can't defend anyone in the NBA. That's the two runs that they made. First quarter, fourth quarter. He wasted a challenge. I mean, is that okay? He wasted a challenge. Was that really? Nick Nurse wasted a challenge. That's what cost him the game. The Celtics went on a 20-1 run because he wasted a challenge. He plays Lowry and Jackson together. I mean, yeah. But like I said, in the Denver game when he did that, it worked, and I knew he was going to take it to his grave. And that's what he did, man. That's what he did. That's what he did, man. Let's just type in Sixers and see what we get here. Sixers and crypto.com. Oh, that's the Sixers posting the final score. Yeah, I don't know. I think I gave all my takes on it, man. Yeah, I don't know. You guys got any other takes in the chat, man? RJ, I only blame PG and Joel. Yes, exactly. Bulls got Kevin Huerter. I mean, they've been trying to get off the Zach LaVine contract for a long time, so shout out to that. They got Kevin Huerter. Wow. So they got incredible management from the Chicago Bulls. They got 3 firsts. Well, they traded Alex Caruso. They were asking 2 first-round picks for Alex Caruso. They ended up getting no first-round picks. They traded him straight up for Josh Giddey because they said, we're actually we believe in this group and we want to move forward with trying to win. And then they trade Zach LaVine anyway for Kevin Huerter. You should have got picks for Alex Caruso, dummies. You traded him straight up for Josh Giddey only to trade Zach LaVine anyway? Wow, dude. Bona deserved more minutes tonight, 100%, man. 100% he did. But at the end of the day, dude, here's the story. The Celtics shot 25% from 3 in the first half and 60% in the second half. Adem Bona wasn't changing that. Nobody was changing that. Sixers fought hard. The way that they're playing without PG and Embiid is great, and I love every second of it. And I love how hard they're playing. I don't want to see these guys back on the court. I'm being 100% serious. I don't want to see these guys back on the court. I'm tired of it. It's time for a new era. I'm tired of it. Zone defense lost this game. You said that in the live stream. And then I said, you think they can guard the Celtics man-to-man? And then they switched back to man-to-man, and what happened? 20-1 run in the fourth quarter in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. That was with man-to-man defense, Brian. The 20-1 run in 4 minutes in the fourth quarter was with man-to-man defense because they were seeking out Tyrese Maxey. Jaylen Brown shot right over top of him. Derek White shot right over top of him. Jason Tatum got screens to get him on an ISO. What makes you think that the Sixers can guard that team one-on-one? It was man, but we doubled every play. Because we can't guard them. That's what happens with man defense. When you can't guard guys, you have to double team, and then you're leaving guys wide open. That's why it doesn't work against a team that can shoot threes. You're proving my point. Yes, it was man defense. We can't guard Jason Tatum one-on-one. We have to bring a double. Derek White wide open. Yeah. So how is that any better than the zone we were playing? Brian Pumper coming back, lost this game. Brian, I love you, man. I love you. You give me a lot of content, man. But I like the Sixers fight in this game. And I don't know what they do at the trade deadline, but I'm secretly hoping that Embiid and Paul George are being held out because they're both getting traded. That's what I'm secretly hoping, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I'd rather twos than threes. Jason Tatum hit 2 of them in the fourth quarter against man-to-man defense. Jaylen Brown hit 2 of them in the fourth against man. Come on, man. I'm out.